Hello everyone, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're joining me right now. I'm coming to you with a faceless video. I have had a really rough 2 weeks, and I will definitely be back on camera next week, and I will give you a little bit more detail. Long story short, if you read any of my community posts, I received a copyright strike on my channel, and there was just a lot of things, and I ended up deleting 45 videos. 15 of them were shorts, but most of them were long form videos. And it was a monumental blow to me. It was very disheartening. Each video took anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of editing. There was music, there was commentary, I was reading, I was peppering, photos throughout every single episode to make them exciting to watch. All of my Errol, Flynn, Slept Here videos are now gone from the channel. All of my Priscilla Presley Child Bride videos are now gone from the channel. My Joan Crawford series that I recorded last summer, all gone. I'll give you more info and detail as to why I had to make that excruciatingly painful decision to take them off the channel. I will be bringing Child Bride back. I'm going to rework the way that I did the first 7 episodes because I know so many of you were into that series. Don't want to bore you with that if you're not interested, but it's just been really rough. I also got back from a week-long spring break trip with my kids, my husband, and some of his family, and they're the type of people. Have you ever been on vacation with people that really want to go at a breakneck pace, kind of like Clark Griswold style, where it's like 14, 15, 16-hour days nonstop, and the only time you stop is when you sleep at night? That's the type of trip I was on. So I get back home and I'm exhausted. We were in parts of Germany touring. We went to London, we went to Paris. So I'm just trying to get my wits about me. But yeah, so that's what's going on. That's where I've been. But you guys, let's just get into it because I want to talk about this Australian tour. And I'm sure you're like me. You are looking at all of this today. They arrived. They're now in Australia, and it's just a circus. It's just a circus. And I don't know about you, but I am unbelievably upset by all of this. I mean, we knew it was coming, right? It's almost like we're all in a therapy group together, preparing for the worst. We know what's coming, but then when it actually happens, it just fires you up and gets you so upset because you know why Harry and Meghan are there. That's why you're upset. That's why I'm upset, because we all know why they're there. They're there for self-enrichment. They're there for publicity, and they're there for financial gain. They can dress it up or pretty it up any way they want, but that's exactly what's happening. And we're also so upset because we know that the palace, even though they don't have any official involvement with this, because we all know that they're not officially representing the monarchy. They're non-working royals. We know that the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, also known as RAVEC, is not handling the logistics of this. So officially, it's not an official royal trip. It's not in the royal capacity, what they're doing. But we all know that because of the titles that they still hold, the titles that the king allows them to still hold, is why this is happening, why they're getting this attention. And you remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? The stories were starting about the Australian people and this petition that they put forth. And I talked about it in some of my other videos. Last count, I think it was over 45K signatures, which is not a small thing. I mean, yes, it's not a million signatures or anything like that, but 45K is still a substantial amount of signatures. And you can bet that 45K is probably indicative. It's a number that's indicative of even more people that feel that way. And you remember how dismissive Harry and Meghan were of that petition, saying, oh, it's a moot point. What are they trying to prove? Being very haughty. But moreover, that petition and their reaction to the petition is such a form of gaslighting to us, the public. Harry and Meghan constantly gaslight the public. They think we're stupid and they think that we do not know what's going on. And Harry and Meghan were not only haughty and self-righteous in the way that they clap back at that petition, but they were insistent that this trip was not publicly funded in any way. And that's another reason why so many of us today are angry, because we now have sources indicating that the local police forces in and around all the areas that they're visiting in Australia, they're coordinating security. The New South Wales Police Force has confirmed that they are conducting operations to ensure public safety during this entire visit. And of course, they're going to cite this because these two still hold titles. Harry's the son of the king. According to the New South Wales Police Force, they need additional security measures, and that's falling into the public purse. That's why everyone is so upset. So everything that they say, it's either a lie or it's misinformation. I mean, in this case, to me, I think that's a bold-faced lie, in my opinion. In my opinion, Harry and Meghan lie constantly and talk out both sides of their mouth, but they wonder why people are so upset about this. So yes, like I mentioned before, the palace isn't officially involved in the logistics and the management of this visit, but by all accounts, everything that I'm looking at, this is being conducted just like it would be a royal visit. The playbook is entirely there. And I'm going to be reading to you guys an article from the Honey website a little bit later. This reporter basically is saying this thing is following a royal protocol visit playbook, play by play. That's exactly what they're doing. A lot of people are surmising that this is kind of like a setup and a practice run for a future UK visit. In my opinion, this is Harry and Meghan getting the public used to the idea of them returning to the UK. That's exactly what I feel. But I also wanted to talk to you about something else that really infuriates me about this whole thing. And that is that because they still hold these titles, the police is going to get involved in Australia, like the police is getting involved, right? They're getting involved because the police are legally required to maintain public order and safety, not only for the public and the crowds and the roads and the streets and all that, and all these places and venues that they're visiting, but also for Harry and Meghan, of course, because they are high profile people. He's the king's son. But I was looking at a lot of this and doing some research and asking some questions online. And there's something in place called a user pays agreement. And basically what I'm finding out is that if Harry and Meghan were not titled, and if they were 100% private citizens, meaning the titles were not there, then what would be triggered would be something called a user pays agreement. So basically, think of it this way. Revoking his title strengthens the legal and political case for treating him strictly as a private celebrity. And when you are a private celebrity, that's when something called a user pay arrangement kicks into gear, meaning that all of these charitable organizations, and also, for example, you know how he's going to be given this speech about mental health at this mental health summit, and he's going to be paid a fee for his speaking, and how she's going to that wellness event hosted by that podcast gal, that Jackie, and she's going to get paid. So these are organizations that are inviting them, right? So what that means is that these organizations, whether they're charitable or whether they're financially driven, these organizations, these organizers would have been mandated to reimburse the police for all of the police protection and services that they're providing Harry and Meghan surrounding this trip, because he wouldn't have visiting dignitary status associated with being the king's son. These private organizations or these hospitals or whoever's inviting them would have to pick up the tab and reimburse the police. Doesn't that make you so upset? That's why I am so unbelievably upset, because technically he's still being treated like an internationally protected person. He's not being treated like a private individual who's hosting a commercial mental health benefit where he's getting paid. She's not being treated like a private individual who's getting paid to go to a women's wellness spa summit or whatever the heck it's supposed to be. He's falling into this gray area. Yeah, he's not technically a working royal representative for the British monarchy, but he's still holding that unique threat profile because he still holds those titles. So that's why the police have a general, policing responsibility to protect both him and the public and maintain order, basically. So a normal citizen, a normal private citizen wouldn't be receiving this special treatment. That's what's so unbelievably upsetting about this. So that one article from Honey magazine, let me just read excerpts of this article to you. And you just tell me if you're as enraged as I am reading this. So this article is coming from a woman named April Glover. And she says, there's nothing quite like the excitement and fever over a royal tour down under. Except Prince Harry and Meghan's visit to Australia, their first since sensationally leaving Buckingham Palace behind for a new life in the U.S., is supposed to be anything but royal. You'd be forgiven for thinking otherwise when the Duke and Duchess of Sussex breezed into the Royal Children's Hospital, Melbourne, today on the first stop of their private 4-day tour. I was standing meters away from the former royals when they arrived, and it was hard not to feel the magic of their decidedly non-royal presence. So she also goes on to say that, yes, the couple is here only in a private capacity, but their visit looks, feels, and smells exactly like a regular royal tour. Because for one thing, the entire visit is billed as one conducted by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Their royal titles remain front and center despite them being private citizens. And she also talks about how Meghan is mastering the graceful poise of a seasoned royal during her time here in Melbourne. It's on full display. And how her attention was trained on young patients and staff, and she's accepting flowers and doling out hugs. And, she's just so happy and tickled to be there. And she goes on to say, the waiting journalists and photographers who Meghan and Harry had their backs to for most of the visit were purely white noise. She turned and smiled briefly after I took an opportunity to call out and welcome her to Australia, but her focus on the patients was razor sharp. And she also talks about how Harry was in protective mode, constantly touching her waist or gently guiding her, with his hand on her back and all of that, and how this was very reminiscent of their first visit in 2018. And it was almost scene for scene exactly how a normal royal tour would unfold. And the author of the article also mentions that the hospital was visited by Queen Elizabeth II in 1963 and again in October 2011 when the hospital's new site, because they did a lot of remodeling, opened. But she also reminds us that Harry's parents, Charles and Diana, the then Prince and Princess of Wales, visited the same Royal Children's Hospital in 1985. So that coincidence isn't lost on anybody. She also mentions that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were still assuring that the entire visit was not taxpayer funded without any government or taxpayer funded help, which I believe we all now know is not true. So she ends the article saying all of the charity work, right? This big hospital visit was only part of the reason for their trip. The money-making side hustles are what make Harry and Meghan's visit very different. Prince Harry will be giving a keynote speech at a summit later this week, where tickets are priced up to $2,400 per person. Meghan, meanwhile, is the headliner at an exclusive Sydney beach retreat where tickets start at $26.99 per person, and the VIP experience is $3,199 per person. It is unclear how much profit, if at all, the couple are expected to make during this tour. But one thing is clear, if they were still working royals, these events would not be happening. Couldn't have said it better myself. Kudos to you, April Glover. This is why this is so important, you guys. Something has to be done about these two. I do not understand why Charles allows this. There was significant backlash from the Australian people before they even set foot on it, and I'm watching footage of them going around acting as if they're still royal. I'm going to show you a video where someone addresses Harry as Your Highness. I almost threw up in my mouth. I can't believe that this is happening. This is unbelievable. So let me reiterate this again for all the seats in the back, because we need to really get upset about this. And the Australians have a right to be upset about this. I haven't heard anyone talking about these user pay agreements because I never even knew about them. I had to research them and look them up. If he was a private citizen with no title, this visit would be categorized as a commercial event, a commercial or special event. And what that would mean is it would trigger mandatory fees under these types of user pay agreements, meaning these organizers of these private events, like the Meghan's Best Life Wellness Retreat or even the hospital that invited them. Those entities would be required to pay for the police services. They would have to reimburse the police. And this is all under these NSW police user charges, and they've put out the new charge breakdowns for 2024 and 2025. For example, the NSW for 2024 and 2025, they have fee breakdowns for all of this. For example, for police to give protection for these special events, it's about $147 per hour per officer. And depending on other types of commercial services, depending on what's required of the officer, it can go up to $180 per hour per officer. And get this, the private citizen would not be able to opt out of having to pay these fees, because if the police determine that the events require a specific number of officers to ensure safety for both Harry and Meghan and, all the crowds and the people involved and all these people, that are at these places that they're going to visit, the event organizers would have to sign a contract agreeing, yes, we are going to pay these hourly rates. So Harry and Meghan can say all they want that they do have some of their own private security detail accompany them. And yes, apparently they came on a commercial flight, but they're still incurring police protection, local police protection, and the taxpayer is footing this bill. So in my humble opinion, they are liars. They are lying and they are gaslighting the public before they came, making it seem like, no, this is all privately funded. How dare they put forth this petition? I mean, they're so aghast by it. How dare you criticize them? Are you guys as upset about this as I am? Harry and Meghan's titles need to be revoked. They need to be private citizens on Australian soil right now. And guess what? If they were private citizens right now, over in Australia doing all this, people like me wouldn't have anything to say. Because in that case, all of these user pay agreements would be kicked into high gear. And all of the people that invited Harry and Meghan over to Australia, like that Besties event company, the one co-founded by Jackie Henderson and Gemma O'Neill, that company that is hosting that wellness event, they would have had to have paid for this. Inner Edge, that mental health organization that invited Prince Harry to be a keynote speaker at, they would have to join in footing the bill for the police protection. Invictus Australia, the Australian National Veterans Art Museum, the various women's shelters, Children's Hospital in Melbourne, they would have to participate in footing the bill for all this police protection. All of these things, all of this would have to happen. Now, do you think that Harry and Meghan, if they were private citizens, would be over there helping to foot the bill under a user pay agreement, splitting costs with all these organizations that invited them? I don't think so. In my personal opinion, I don't think so. Okay. And what makes this even more upsetting and rich is that Harry and Meghan are treating this trip for personal financial gain. He's speaking, he's getting money. She's doing that retreat, she's getting money. These are high-priced ticketed events. Okay. And because they're high-priced ticketed events and they're personally gaining from it, why are the taxpayers of Australia having to fund the police protection when the whole trip is not just, charitable visits and all of that there is a lot of private commercial events that Harry and Meghan are engaging in that they are enriching themselves from. None of this makes sense. And this all stems from that gray area, their base hypocrisy, Harry and Meghan's hypocrisy, that gray area, that because they still hold the title, even though they're not HRH working in an official royal capacity, they're still being afforded all of this. This should not be happening. And think about it. Take away the fact that he's speaking at that mental health deal and she's hosting that wellness summit, which we've talked about on this channel before. Beyond that, these visits to these women's shelters that Harry and Meghan have already gone to, and going to the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, and they're going to have other events as the days go on. I ask you, what is it doing just visiting, just stopping by, other than give them a boost in their own publicity? What is it doing to help those organizations and those people? It's not like they hold a long-standing association with the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. It's not like they've, been a patron like a working royal would be. They don't have long-standing working relationships with any of these shelters, any of these hospitals, any of these organizations. It's a one-time show up, flash your veneer, rictus grin, get your publicity. But then we might as well enrich ourselves and do the summits and do the keynote speaking events to get paid. But this is what I'm saying. Even if you weren't doing any of those other financial things that they're doing, but just all that aside, who cares? Why are you even showing up at these hospitals and these shelters? You're showing up to get your picture taken. And can we just talk about these photographs? Can we talk about just the posturing and the ear-to-ear grins? They look manic. Both of them look maniacal. Usually he's very tense and just not as smiley as his wife. And Meghan's usually, no matter what's going on around her, she's smiling and she's laughing and so happy. And you know how she always puts her hand on her as if to convey that she's just so tickled that everyone's there to see her. And just watching them walk around this children's hospital and to see all of these people there. Most of these people, I guarantee you, they don't really know the Harry and Meghan saga to the extent that you and I do. They don't know about all the lies. They don't know about all the betrayals. They don't know about all of the back-end commercial deals. Really, they haven't gotten into the weeds about what these two did to throw their respective families under the bus for money from Netflix, from Spotify, from all these commercial entities. They haven't delved into it the way that we have. And that's what they're counting on. They're counting on that. And I'm sorry, but I know this is trivial to say too, but just the fact that she always shows up sleeveless and hugging and hanging on everybody, it's not professional. You would never in a million years catch the Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, or the Princess of Wales, Catherine, sleeveless out at a children's hospital meeting people or in a woman's shelter and hanging on people without a sleeve. It's so gross. I'm sorry, to me, it's gross. I don't think that it's sanitary. I mean, wear sleeveless all you want when you are in your home or you're, running your errands or you're on vacation or doing whatever you're doing. But these outfits, I'm sorry. And I will say that this black, I don't know if it's black or if it's navy, the one with the 6 gold buttons, it actually is flattering on her. For once, it's cut correctly for her body type and it does look flattering. But again, with the sleeveless, just enough with the sleeveless. Everyone has had it with the sleeveless. She's, in my opinion, obsessed with her arms. She's obsessed with her arms and legs. So that's what she's always flashing. But just all of these pictures. But I want to show you. There's also a clip that I caught on social media. I'm just going to play it for you, first of all. I'm not even going to point out what makes me so angry about it. I just want you to watch it and see if you catch it. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Australia.
So they're at the hospital. It looks like they're standing in what's the main lobby. Everyone's assembled, right? Because everyone's got to be assembled. It probably took an hour to get everyone in place, ready for these two to get there. Everyone is in place. All the patients, all the hospital staff, all the photographers, security, everybody. They're all in place. And there's a gentleman there that's pointing something out to Harry. I guess probably some patients and people in the hospital up on the higher wings that look down that he could kind of look at and wave at. Did you hear that he said, "Your Highness," to Harry to get his attention? And did you notice that Harry didn't skip a beat, not one beat in responding to the "Your Highness"?
Your Highness.
You know why that is? Because that is the way that these two still see each other. They are not to be addressed as HRH. That privilege was taken away from them when they decided to abscond and desert the family and desert the duty to the crown and the Commonwealth. But they still think that they are HRH. And that's the problem. And that's Charles's problem. And I think all of this is his fault. 100%. And that is what is so grating, like nails on a chalkboard about these two, because you know that they are using that title in private. I mean, we already found out a little over a year ago. Do you remember when Meghan gave that little gift basket to Jamie Kern Lima with the ice cream and all that? And they were talking about it on their podcast. I did a video about it. But she had some stationery in that gift basket. And on the stationery, it was HRH, Duchess of Sussex. So you know she's using the title in private. She's not even technically supposed to be doing that. So just watch this again. It's infuriating. Your Highness. And you notice how Harry just didn't skip a beat? Yep, because he's just like Andrew in the sense that they are both entitled. They are entitled. They're both spares, yet they think that they're better than everybody else. But everything is for them. And they are the type that think that because of their birth, they are special and they are privileged. And everyone else needs to just get in line. And what was stopping Harry from even looking just a tiny bit sheepish when he was addressed as Your Highness by that man in the video? He knows that that's going to get out. People are going to find out about it and point it out. I haven't heard anyone talk about it yet, but the coverage is still relatively new. But what happened to just call me Harry? Just call me Harry. Just call me Harry. And all of this hand-holding, the constant hand-holding, the constant back-rubbing, the constant touching one another, it's so off-putting. It's off-putting and it's distracting. And that's one thing they haven't learned anything from. If they're auditioning to try to get back into the royal family as working members, which is what I fully believe, in my opinion, they're trying to do, they need to really cut this out, because this hand-holding and this constant touching that they do, it's very, very distracting. If you are really there wanting to call attention to the charity, wanting to call attention to the women's shelter, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to cut it out, because that's all anyone focuses on. But that's what they want. They want people to focus on it. This is so unbelievable, you guys, so unbelievable. And this past week was Divine Mercy Sunday. It's my favorite feast in the Catholic liturgical year, Divine Mercy Sunday. It's just about Christ's outpouring of love and mercy for us. And Christ told Saint Faustina that there will be a time for my justice, but now is a time for my mercy. And we all have to be merciful to everyone in our lives, and even people we don't know. But that's the thing, that's what makes me so unbelievably angry watching this, because we know by their actions and everything that they've done up to this point that Harry and Meghan are not about, they're not about charity, and they're not about any type of duty of care that they're not getting reimbursed for. They're not about really calling attention to an organization like a hospital or a shelter without enriching themselves. They could have done all of this without the cameras. They could have made private visits. They could have made private donations. They don't have to show up and make a huge stink about this and involve taxpayer funds and involve the Australians in having to pay for this. They don't have to. They might not be, rolling in the dough to the extent that they want to be, but they still have quite a bit of money, and they could give privately. A lot of people would argue that they can't give privately because they don't have money. Well, I say they have a heck of a lot more money than most of us watching this video, so they could still give substantial amounts, but do it privately. What is driving them to want to do this other than seeking money, fortune, and fame? And it's sad to watch, and it's sickening to watch. And that's why we really need to continue to pray for these two, because not only are they there tarnishing the reputation of the monarchy and really their own reputations, although they still don't see it. They don't see that this faux royal tour formula that they've been doing for the last few years isn't working. Because they're getting desperate. Because when the love and the want of money, that need gets so desperate that you will resort to doing anything, that's what we see here. It's unbelievable. And these are the people that need prayer. These are the people that need the Lord. They really need to have their eyes opened because they're upsetting a lot of people. And when I look and see Meghan crouching down, talking to a child that's had leukemia 4 different times, 4 reoccurrences of leukemia in her diagnosis, as a stage 3B rectal cancer survivor myself, I know what people go through when they have cancer. Yes, I had rectal cancer, not leukemia, but I know what it is to get IV chemo treatment, what it means to get radiation therapy, what it means to have surgery. I know everything that you go through, everything your family goes through. They are enriching themselves and using these harmless children for publicity. I'm getting fired up, you guys, but I know that something has to happen. This cannot continue. This cannot continue. Something is going to happen. I don't know what. They haven't fallen to the depths that they need to, apparently, because it's still going on. But something will happen. But until they get the titles taken away, until they get some type of reprimand from the palace, this is going to continue. But I got to tell you, as much as I love the British royal family, I don't have a lot of faith in the reigning monarch. I don't have a lot of faith in Charles right now. The fact that he released a Ramadan message and not a message for Easter was particularly disheartening and distasteful. Now, mind you, I'm a Roman Catholic and not a member of the Church of England, but he still is a representative of Christendom in Europe. So to not issue an Easter statement, I mean, talk about nauseating. It just makes you just want to just curl up and cry. It's like, what? You don't want to proclaim that Christ is the risen Lord and King? Proclaim the news of the gospel? You're in a position that apparently you believe, you're anointed by God. He has a special oil applied to his forehead when he is crowned, at the moment of his crowning, to be a leader in the faith and to preach and proclaim the faith. And he's not following in his duty and having a good, honest Christian talk with these two to say, look, what you are doing to enrich yourselves in our name using our titles, and they can say all they want that they're not using the titles and they're not representatives. We all know they're getting this attention because they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and they're getting paid for police protection because of that. We all know. They need to be sat down and they need to be told, you cannot enrich yourselves like this. Go off and do your Spotify, go off and do your wellness retreats, do your Netflix, do whatever you're going to do, but do it privately. Don't do it like this. This is a disgusting display. And as a Christian, I'm really fired up and I'm really pissed off, but I'm still going to continue to pray for them because they are on a world stage. And I would encourage you to pray for them as well, because the more people that pray for these two, maybe we will see some type of turnabout with them. Because this, you guys, this is Holy Spirit type stuff. This is Holy Spirit conversion that needs to happen. We need to start getting God involved. But that's all I'm going to say about that right now. But I'm just infuriated. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll try to come back later this week in a video where I'm going to talk about my feelings on this whole Netflix Ted Sarando's beef party thing that she was showing up at, smiling at, my thoughts on that. And I will be back for sure next week. And I'll tell you everything that is going on with all of those videos I had to take down. Don't worry, the Child Bride series about Priscilla Presley is not going away indefinitely. I just have to rework a lot of the already published videos, and then I'm going to work on a new format to bring you future chapters, because I had, I believe, was it up to chapter 7 on the Child Bride book that I had to pull down. So for those of you who are fans of that series, please give me some grace. I have to just rework a lot of material, but it is coming. And I'll explain more in my next video where I tell you everything that happened. My voice is getting a little scratchy. Like the video, share the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. And please double check to make sure that you are subscribed. I've had a few emails from people saying, I didn't even know you had a new video. I had notifications turned on and I have to actually go in and type your name to pull it up. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, you guys. I really do honestly feel that ever since I made that video on the demonic, that maybe my channel is under spiritual attack or something. And I don't know. Sometimes I can't help but feeling that in some of my videos when I am mentioning my faith, maybe I am being targeted. I don't know, but I would really appreciate your support. If you like my video, if you like my take on things, please forward it to someone. Maybe they can watch it and subscribe too. I just really feel like my progress on YouTube is being just stalled. It's just really, it's kind of sad and a little scary what's happening, and it can be disheartening, but I'm going to continue to be making videos. I love you guys and my community that I've built here too much to stop. And I love the Lord, and I'm, going to shout it from the rooftops that I do love him and that I do believe that Harry and Meghan need him too. So that's all I'm going to say. I love you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Welcome to Australia.
Honor! Honor!